See here, debate Iran's missiles largely intact. What has the U.S. achieved? Yeah, I've been telling you guys this for a while now. And this is coming from our intelligence. It's not coming from CNN. It's not coming from the New York Times either. This is coming from CIA Intel report. Okay, guys. And from the DIA as well, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is basically the CIA of the Pentagon. And this is what they're telling us, that Iran still has most of their missiles and drones intact. Well, let's get into it. Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support.
Explosive new reporting, severely undercutting President Trump's claims about Iran's missile capabilities. According to the New York Times, assessments show that Iran has restored operational access to 30 of the 33 missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz, which could threaten U.S. warships and oil tankers. Only 3 of the missile sites are totally inaccessible. The Times also notes that Iran still has about 70% of its mobile launchers and has retained another 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile. And as the war drags on, even some of the biggest hawks are beginning to lose patience.
I don't trust Pakistan as far as I can throw them.
Bruh,
If they
it's so funny. I'm like, Dad, what Pakistan do? But like I said, according to Lindsey Graham, Pakistan's out here housing Iranian jets. And I'm just like, yeah, here's the problem, though. The problem is those missiles. The missiles and drones, those are the main problem when it comes to Iran, because that's what they're hitting the allies with. That's what they were able to hit our well, not our ships, but our aircrafts with. Yes, those goddamn missiles. Those are the problem.
actually do have Iranian aircraft parked in Pakistan bases to protect Iranian military assets, that tells me we should be looking maybe for somebody else to mediate. No wonder this damn thing is going nowhere. So, you know, I appreciate all you've done.
He says it's going nowhere. And Jason, we've talked about this with you on the show for several months now at this point. And we have been told that by this point, they would have to capitulate, that the blockade alone would force them to the negotiating table.
Yeah, but here's the problem, though. Our own intelligence came out and said that they'll be able to last out the blockade for months, 6 months to be exact. So, yes, the blockade wasn't about to destroy their economy in like 2 days to a week like they were telling y'all. And you see how nobody's talking about that anymore? Anybody else notice that, or is it just me?
That really has not happened. And not only that, but they're rebuilding their missile capabilities. They still have all the nuclear material in their possession. So, as Adam often asks, what are we getting from all of this bombing?
Well, we might get more bombing if they actually do get close to what the New York Times is reporting. I mean, obviously, the White House has pushed back on some of the claims about their capabilities and their access. I think one can reasonably look at how they're acting right.
Here's the thing. We really about to start bombing if, like, here's the thing. If we hit these guys, you guys got to understand. I think we're going to hit them because, well, the Iranians kind of gave us the green light to pretty much escalate the situation into where we can sell it to the American people. So the Iranian parliament pretty much said that if we strike them again, they will escalate towards 90%. So what does that tell you? That most likely somebody's going to attack Iran. They're going to skate towards 90%. And now we're going to have all the reasoning in the world, all the support in the world to put boots on the ground. Why? Because, I mean, now we're going to know for sure that Iran's going to rush towards that nuke, because they just said it out loud to the world. And the fact that they said it out loud to the world is quite bold, because it's letting us know that, well, if we start, who gonna stop us? And I hope that we can, but the way they talking, well, I ain't gonna say I doubt it completely, but they got confidence for a reason.
Now, and they're certainly not using those missile sites at this point. If they do, in fact, have access to it, I think the president doesn't want to get involved more so militarily. He's giving them every opportunity. The blockade is, in fact, working. Their economy is weakened. It's going to take some time. And I think that's the one thing that the president, just from a messaging standpoint, is in a really tough spot.
Like I said, the blockade wasn't working on day one. Like I said, 20 Iranian shadow fleets was able to make it through and go straight to China. And like I said, they could still access Russia through the Caspian Sea. And they still have railways to China that we have not blown up yet. So, no, they're doing all right. I mean, it's going to be a bit slow to get the oil out, but other than that, they're all right. Like I said, this blockade isn't really doing anything. And let's be real. Let's be real here. They're not just going to wait 6 months. They're just going to start attacking our allies like they did with UAE. And that's why the UAE and Saudi Arabia responded to their attacks But let's see how far that escalates things, because Lord knows Iran's going to attack back, and hopefully they don't start attacking energy infrastructure or gas prices will rise.
He's not going to come out and say this is going to take 6 months, or you cannot put that kind of, you cannot put that kind of timeline on any of this, because you're basically telling the enemy that all you have to do is wait this out for X amount of time. So politically, that puts him in a tough spot. But as I've said,
True.
and I do think that this is bearing out as truth, he's willing to take political hits because he thinks what's happening now, the end goal is the right thing. And I agree that the end goal is the right thing. It is reasonable. And you've made a very good point about whether or not it's worth it, the pain that the American people are feeling. We should be having that conversation. It's important to have that conversation. He's taken a stance, and now the response is going to be political.
The problem is, you said he can't say 6 months or a year, but he did. He said a week. Like everything you're saying he can't do, he already has done it, and he's done it incorrectly. And so then that makes people feel confused. And then you get reporting, you hear in June that their stockpile was under rubble. Like, well, just no.
No. What did they say in the beginning? Because she got a point here, sadly. They said, oh, their missile launchers are 90% decimated. Bro, they said their Navy is pretty much gone, but they're out here throwing speedboats in the Strait of Hormuz. So, yeah, Hormuz. So, I'm sorry, guys, but she got actually a really good point here. They said one thing, and it turns out to be another. And it's her own intelligence pretty much saying, actually, no, they still got 60% of their Navy left. No, we didn't destroy 90%. Actually, we destroyed about 30%. They still got about 70% ready to fire off. That's the problem.
Didn't say under rubble. He said it was basically eliminated. Obliterate. Thank you. That reporting doesn't match up. So I think the American people actually agree. You and I agree, and probably everyone at this table, that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. Yeah. And I think if the president from the very beginning was more honest and said, we're committed to this until the end, and not put premature, unnecessary, or just ambitious deadlines that we all knew were false, and said, and you know what, Americans, I need you to go with me on this, because you will experience some pain, but I am committed. But he hasn't done that.
He said it's fine.
Sure, that's what we're here for.
So had he said that from the beginning, would any of the reaction from folks on the left, his critics, been any different than what it is now?
But at least he would be acting with some integrity and honesty. Right now, if you don't believe in the war, maybe you don't believe.
No, not at all. Not at all. Come on now. Y'all would still be crucifying this man. I mean, guys, at least me as pretty much me as a guy who voted for Trump, I can sit here and say, yo, at least I'm coming from an honest position when I say, yo, this war is not a good idea. The left, I mean, let's be real. I mean, bro, they were going to be mad regardless. So it is what it is with them.
In the war, but sure. I think that right now he's talking out of two sides of his mouth, and so it is much easier for me to be a lot critical of him.
Certainly.
Because he's being inconsistent.
Yeah, but let's be real though. Trump just came out and said, man, look, Dems, I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. Look, we're going to strike Iran. We're going to try to do a regime change. We're going to try to take him out in 4 to 2 weeks. And I mean, look, can you just work with me? Can you work with me? I know you don't like Iran too, so work with me on this. Bro, they're going to be looking at you like, they're going to be looking at Trump like he freaking crazy. Let's keep it real. It's like there was really no packaging it for the Dems, not at all.
But here's the thing. I mean, I think it feels to me like it's a lot simpler than this. You just said that at least he took a stance. Well, it seems like the stance that he took may have been a massive miscalculation. Yeah. And if that is the case, that's a leadership test.
Yeah.
Leaders either make good decisions or they make bad decisions. And it's possible that right now we are living through a bad decision and the consequences of it. That seems like the simplest contrast that's out there.
I think so, and I think it's going to have ramifications not just at home, but really for America's place in the world, because a lot of other countries, adversaries and allies alike, are looking at this decision and being like, wow.
Yo, and shout out my man, what was he? Yucca Trash. Yo, I actually said this last night when I went on a little bit of a rant when I was saying, yo, we're tired of this. Like, bro, from Generation X to millennials to Gen Z, we are tired of the wars in the Middle East. Like, they have done nothing for us. They've low-key put our future in jeopardy, and we're just supposed to go along with this. I'm sorry, we're tired of it. Some of us grew up in the time to where we seen the war cause the stock crash, and we watched families get kicked out of their houses and get foreclosed on. We watched people lose job by the masses. Maybe you haven't, but we sure did. And we're tired of it. We want no parts of it. Like, it just is what it is. We are the most tired generation of war there probably ever's been.
This was so off base. This was, we've seen reporting his own cabinet was saying, unless you can be sure that people are ready to rise, and there is a figure, an internal figure within the country, which there isn't, that can rise up and kind of really, own what could be a counter revolution. It's not going to work, and it's going to just carry so much pain. It also makes us look, frankly, the U.S. military look as though they're not prepared for a new age of warfare in which drones can simply take out, billions of dollars worth of battleships, in which, there's a commercial aspect to this. The insurers that actually back the ships that cart the oil through the Strait of Hormuz don't want to be there. They just don't want to be there at all. There are all kinds of geoeconomic considerations that just don't seem to have been thought of at all. And it makes us look very naive.
I just want to address.
They couldn't even, for some reason, they didn't even think that Iran could close the strait. Can close the strait. So pretty much Bibi and the head of Mossad convinced Trump that, look, man, we'll hit him so hard and we'll take out the leadership that they won't even be able to get into the strait. They won't be able to shut it down. We didn't fuck them up too much for them to even move. Trump, we got this. And then we go ahead and commit to the strikes, and it turns out that we didn't got this. They closed the strait, and now we're dealing with the consequences of it. Oh, and those 4 to 2 weeks that the head of Mossad was talking about, oh yeah, bro, we're like 74 days in. Yeah. I mean, this is what happens when you listen to Israeli intelligence instead of your own. And that's what pisses me off more about this conflict, because you know what? I'll be able to accept this war slightly, not really, but slightly, if it was our own intelligence that sold us into this. But no, it was Israeli intelligence. AKA Trump said, bro, fuck our intelligence. I want to listen to Israel. And that is just hard for me to swallow. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just don't like that.
The absurd reframing that I heard here 1 second ago. This idea that Donald Trump is willing to take some political hits as if this is all some intentional strategy on his part. When this war started, we heard 3 or 4 different things. No missiles, no nukes, no terrorists, and maybe regime change. That's what he was going for. Regime change has not happened. The IRGC is still in control. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
The IRGC
it's not going to happen unless you put boots on the ground. Let's be real. We just can't airstrike these niggas into regime change. Excuse my language, but that's just not what's going to happen. I wish we could do that. Trust me, if we could, we wouldn't stop. But obviously, we can't bomb the IRGC out of control. It just is what it is. And then, of course, just when it comes to decimating their missile or their military capability, well, I guess those underground bases are actually covering up most of their stockpile, like I've been telling you guys for months now. But hey, you wanted to believe Hegseth and be like, oh, S.E.T, we destroyed 90% of their launchers. No, we didn't. And guys, they make these missiles underground at the tune of 300 missiles per month. I remember Al Jazeera was doing a literal story on Iran's nuclear threat, not nuclear threat, but missile threat, because they just said, look, we don't need nukes. We got hypersonic missiles now. Actually, we got hundreds of thousands of missiles now, to the point where, guess what? They just said we don't need it. And that's all Iran's been focusing on, is their missile capability. That's why their missiles are low-key a problem. Why? Because with their missiles, they can low-key secure their region. That's why we kind of want them to water it down. But Lord knows they're not doing that without us kicking their ass completely.
Listen, the IRGC is so deeply embedded.
Cardboard cutout.
The IRGC is in Iran, and they're in charge. They are so deeply embedded in Iran's institutions that you can't just get them out unless you go boots on the ground. Who's in control right now? The IRGC. Number 2, on no nukes.
Bro, you got to understand, bro, there's women in the IRGC. I mean, like, bro, do you understand the problems we can have dealing with, like, boots on the ground in Iran? I mean, dog, we got these guys out here really thinking they gonna be saving women from Islam. You go take these group of women in, I'm saving them from Islam. Next thing you know, they turn on your dumb ass with AK-47. Why? Because they like that out there. Like, I'm sorry, but boots on the ground is going to be the worst thing we could ever do, because not only is that going to prove that we know nothing about the culture of Iran, but it's also going to prove our vulnerability when it comes to boots on the ground. And the political vulnerability as well, because, bro, once those caskets start coming back, oh my God, I don't even want to think about it, because, like, I just don't want to see people coming back in caskets. But if that is the case, bro, Republicans cooked. you're cooked.
Was scatter the scientists around the country and put all of the blueprints into the cloud, so it still exists. Yes, the nuclear is the enriched uranium is buried under rubble, but it's still in Iran. They can just rebuild, get the info from the cloud, and then rebuild again. So that takes me to
you know what, guys? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, there was a regime change. Yeah, a regime change from the moderates to the extremists. Yes, a regime change from the the guys that kind of are okay with dealing with the West to the hardliners who are saying fuck the West. Yeah, that's your regime change. If you count that as a regime change, if you count taking out the moderate guys and replace them with hardliners, okay, yeah, that's regime change. Yes, replacing Khomeini with his son, who's on a path of revenge, you call that regime change? Okay, yep, y'all got it. Y'all got it all day.
Terrorism. They can still fund terrorism. They'll likely get money from this deal, and the Strait of Hormuz will likely be told 3 months from now. So they're going to keep taking money. What was the last one? No nukes, no terrorists, no missiles. Okay, we just talked about that right there. They clearly still have missiles. In fact, our own supply, has been depleted.
Bring the UAE closer to
our
us.
own supply has been depleted by 1/3 to one half.
Because we have a ceasefire. Because they successfully convinced Trump that they're at a negotiating table, and yet it's been a month and there's been no deal. Actually, several of you brought this up. Who are they negotiating with, and what is the actual strategy? The son of Iran's last Shah just spoke earlier, and he says there are too many mixed messages coming out of this White House. Listen.
You have to have a clear message. You have to have a clear strategy of aiming for putting an end to this regime, allowing for people to revolt, allowing for elements within the...
How about this, buddy? You and your, monarchists can take y'all ass over there. We'll give you guns, and you guys go over there and take out the regime, all right? All you Iranians over here that are cheerleading for us to go in there and take out the regime, how about this? You do it. No. Don't turn off this live now. Don't walk away from me. Don't walk away. I see you. Turn your ass into the military. Join up with this bastard right here. Go get you some guns and go for the Iranian people. Other than that, shut the fuck up.
Military and security forces to defect and join with the people. All of that has to be coordinated as a coherent strategy. You cannot send mixed signals. On the one hand, said people need to rise, and at the same time say, wait, we are negotiating. It's confusing the hell out of everyone.
And you can't rely on it. And like you said, who are we negotiating with? A cardboard cutout? That does not look good for the president.
Well,
if he is not
a cardboard cutout.
One of the earliest signs.
That's hilarious though. Cardboard cutout. They did put a cardboard cutout of the leader up, and everybody just started going crazy. I was like, all right, bro, this is hilarious. A cardboard cutout of the Ayatollah. All right, guys. All right. Now you see how much of a fanatic these people are for the Ayatollah, obviously. But guys, make sure you double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get to 100 likes, so we can go ahead and double tap that screen or smash the like button, guys. Appreciate the support. Any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements, help out the channel and send in a super chat, or you can send in a gift. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's go ahead and get right back into it.
Because he eliminated everybody else.
But I actually, that's exactly what I was going to ask you about, because one of the earliest signs of a potential miscalculation from the administration was that they acknowledged that all the people that they thought they could potentially work with, they had killed. And so when you start the conflict saying that, actually, we eliminated all the people that maybe we could talk to, and now we don't even know who's running the country, isn't that a bad sign that they're not really sure how this is going to go?
I mean, I will never say it's a bad sign if those that want Americans murdered are no longer on the face of the earth. I'm never going to think that. And I think, look, you brought up amazing points. There's nothing good that Americans can point to thus far that we can say, hey, this is going to end tomorrow. Of course, people are worried, people are panicked. At the same time, everything you mentioned is still worth it if we make sure they can never have a nuclear weapon. It is very easy to sit here when we're all still on the face of the earth and we're all here and America is as strong as possible, but it's not that easy to say that, God forbid, they throw that bomb at us. We have no idea what could happen.
Just clarify what the Iranian regime is. It's not
what... I don't know why y'all fear-mongering on, as soon as Iran have a bomb, they're going to nuke us. No, bro. Iran's going to get a bomb and we're just going to leave them the fuck alone. And that's the thing. That's what we've proved. Shout out to North Korea. They've now been vindicated. So, yes, when you have a nuke, no matter how, authoritarian your regime is, no matter how much executions you do, we'll leave you the F alone. Nobody's going to get involved in your business because you got a nuke. So Iran's not going to build a nuke to fire it off. No, they're going to build a nuke to solidify the regime's power. to solidify that nobody's gonna F with Iran and their regime unless it's done from the inside. And at that point, when they got a nuke, now regime change could only be done from the inside. Like, what are they gonna do? Nuke themselves? Like, come on now.
Person. It's not their Navy. It's not their Air Force. It is the
They don't exist
Islamic.
anymore.
It is the IRGC. The IRGC Navy absolutely does exist. That's why the Strait is still closed. But the IRGC is deeply embedded within the.
Oh, and shout out to my man Sheriff Salem sending a laughing disco for $250. Appreciate the support.
Institutions and former IRGC members actually inhabit the banks, the colleges, all the institutions within Iran, and they have an incentive to never let their power go because they were seen committing awful acts. So you have
no, they're
agree on
built
that.
for
I think
this
we all
moment.
agree
The
on that.
IRGC is absolutely built for this moment, and this is
I would
something that I
argue
think the
America is
president.
built for this
Let me just
moment.
say, I think the president is used to dealing with other transactional individuals and even other transactional countries, frankly, like China. This is an ideology that we're talking about here. These people have all the time in the world to wait. They'll take all the pain.
And we're talking about Shia Muslims here. We're talking about people who consider it an honor, the highest honor to be killed in battle. So yeah, we're talking about a martyrdom culture here. So I'm sorry, but yeah, it's gonna be hard to bring these people to their knees when they see every death as a high honor. So you think about that. You know, of course they get upset, but hey, it's an honor.
Yes, and one agreement does not kill an ideology. And so even if we come to an agreement and they say we will not build nuclear weapons, the next day they can start again.
Why did we celebrate Obama's deal?
That's right.
I'm not saying Obama's deal was perfect, but at least it steps forward. What I'm saying is that you're not going to bomb out an ideology unless you eliminate a whole country. And I think we all would say
what you can do to de-radicalize is oftentimes integrate a country into the global economy. And that's what the nuclear deal did.
I mean,
integrated
let's be real here. That don't even work. I mean, bro, we completely destroyed Libya. Did that destroy the radical ideology? No. Afghanistan. Did that destroy the radical ideology of the Taliban? No. So let's be real. That don't even work.
Iran. We had oversight in Iran, and it was better than whatever the hell we have.
And
now.
we delayed their ability to get a nuclear weapon to strike the United States of America.
Let's leave it there.
But all right, guys.